Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. Today's guest is somebody that you are going to love. I am so excited to share Heather Comerford with you. She has been working out with KBC for over 10 years. Her story is unique. It's very unique because I feel like she started off in a way that would make some people very uncomfortable. And it made me a little bit uncomfortable. I wasn't sure, this is a lot. Most people don't do this when they first start, but she had her own path and it worked beautifully. And we're going to talk all about that. So Heather is a mom and she has a full-time job and she's also a wife and she's a friend to many. She's a dear friend of mine and she definitely is one of those people that thrives on helping other people. It makes her feel good to lift other people up and make them feel good. And I think that's a really good match for our community. I think she's very community-minded and I think that has served her really well. I also think that Heather is the type of person that is growth-minded. I think she's always looking to grow, expand herself. We're going to talk about her words and how her words have really served her over the last few years. And one thing that I think I'm going to start with, and I hope it's okay, but it just feels right because this is something that Heather and I have kind of bonded over the years, is our affection for our fathers. I got the opportunity to meet Heather's father 10 years ago at a contest event. And I just remember me watching him watch her and was like, she is the apple of his eye. I could just tell that there was, what dad goes to a contest event? That alone right there, should tell you something. It's we go watch our kids when they're little, but he was going to watch his daughter at a different stage of life, which I just thought was really sweet. And 7 years ago, Heather's father passed away, and it was really, really nice to be able to bond and connect over our fathers. We've had a lot of great conversations around that. And in spirit of this podcast, which just seems to have a lot of synchronicities, I was with Heather this past Sunday and we were doing vision boards. She's doing the individual challenge and we were doing our vision boards. And I just got this weird nudge and just really trying to go with my instincts and gut this year. And I just said, Heather, I really want you to have you on the podcast. I've asked her before. She could tell she kind of dodged me. Maybe I didn't ask her as directly as enough as I should have, but she didn't feel like her story was enough or whatever. And just something it was a weird feel, a feeling. It wasn't even a thought. It was a feeling. It was as we're talking, I said, I really want you this week because I've learned that if someone says yes, don't give them a week to think about it. Get them a day. And she mentioned that yesterday, we are recording on Thursday, was the anniversary of her father's death. And I just couldn't help but think that oh wow, this is part of our podcast together. And this is why I want her to be on this week. Uncannily, we've had two other guests in the last month that have recorded on the anniversary of their father's death. And that was not planned by any means. I think it's a little uncanny, but I also think it means something. And I just want to feel that in this podcast. I want to feel that love and support and cheering for us. And Heather and I exchanged some texts yesterday, and she had made a post about her dad, and I kind of scrolled through the comments because I've become a little bit of a fan of him. Just things that Heather has shared, especially the story that we got to let her talk. The story that she shared recently about having a colonoscopy with anesthesia. I was like, oh God, I knew I liked this dude, and he just seemed to be getting better. Anyway, one of his golf buddies or friends wrote something about what a great guy he was. And then he just said LHS, which was the initials of a golf course. But that's my father's initials. And I don't think H is My father's middle name was Hughes, LHS. I don't know. I screenshot and sent it to Heather, and she was just kind of like, okay, there's a connection there. Heather, please introduce yourself to the Start Before You're Ready community and tell me to stop talking.
I don't know where to begin. So yes, my name's Heather. I have been with Kelly since 2016. And like she mentioned, I'm a mom. I have a daughter that's 22 and a son that's 16. My daughter's getting ready to graduate college in May and move out and explore the world with her new job. And then my son is a junior in high school, very active in sports and football, track, anything he can do to compete. And then I've been married to my husband Gary for 25 years. And we've lived in South Riding the entire time. So it's actually kind of nice because growing up for me, my father was in the military and we moved around a lot. I lived in like 10 different places before we actually settled down in Virginia. And he decided to retire from the Air Force when he had me apply to colleges like all over the states because he didn't know where he was going to get stationed. And then he looked at my mom and said, "What am I doing?" And he had already 21 and a half, 22 years in the Air Force. So I was appreciative of that because I was applying to places in Texas and California and places I didn't want to go.
So you were trying to be close to him,
Yes.
and then he said,
I'm not going anywhere. Let's stay here. So, yeah, yeah. So it was, growing up, moving around as much as we did. I have a sister and a brother. My sister and I are 18 months apart, but my brother is about 12 years younger than I am. So most of the time when we were moving around, it's just my sister and I. And we were very much, friends and fight like sisters. But meeting friends was always challenging because there's places we would go to and only live there for 4 months, or we go to another place we only lived there for a year. So it was, yeah, it was hard. It was definitely hard. And so as I got older, I was looking for that community feeling. And so I started to volunteer at my kids' elementary school with the PTA, hoping to meet people, other mothers, but most of the mothers I met were stay-at-home moms. So that was always challenging because they would get together for their lunches and things like that. Then I met Heather, another Heather, Kelly, who moved into the townhome next to me when we lived in our townhome. And she got involved with Kelly's boot camp and encouraged me to come, even though I would just kind of watch from a distance, look at this parking lot going, what is that? So I wasn't ever, growing up, I didn't really participate in sports. I was more of a dancer, ballet, tap, jazz, point, all that kind of stuff, but not really into sports. And then got involved in sports when I lived in Alabama in a very small school. I'm proud to say I was on the varsity basketball team and I probably kept their bench pretty warm.
hey girl, basketball teams are small. They're hard to make. I don't care.
I did score one basket, so I was pretty proud of that.
I love it. That's amazing.
Whole basketball career. But anyway, yeah, just, searching for what to do. And my husband and I, we did join a gym. I don't know, Kelly, if you were at Lifetime Fitness in the year 2000 or 2001. Were you there?
I did not move here until Cameron was born in 2004. So I didn't move here until 2004. So I did work for Lifetime eventually, but it was more around that era, I think like 2004 to 2005.
Okay. Yeah. So my husband and I, we joined the gym. This was before kids, but it was before you were there. And he would take classes and there was a boot camp there. But I would, I go to the gym, I would go to the treadmill, and then I just stare at all the equipment. I didn't know what I was doing, why I was doing it. It just didn't really click with me. But I would do it because I know it was good for me, the treadmill, but that was about it. And started, having a family with the kids and getting through all that. And then that's, yeah, like I said, bumping into or talking with Heather Kelly about boot camp and showing up there out on the lot and scared, just scared, honestly. Yeah, I liked the community and stuff. And, I wish I could go back and remember a lot of the feelings I had or like how I stayed with it. But I think, a big part of that was because of Heather and her encouragement to
I'm
keep going.
sure. What
Yeah.
about your first workout, Heather? You don't remember that at all? Did you?
Well, what I do remember is meeting with you. And we did an initial assessment, and it was push ups and I think sit ups. The push ups, maybe I
Oh,
did
then you were
one.
ahead of most
And
people because most people did zero.
well, I'm not sure how good they were.
I'll tell you.
I don't know how good they were because I had no muscle at all.
People
At
don't
all.
have upper body unless they train their upper body. I'm noticing this with the young girls that come to it, as I actually can't believe how weak their upper body is.
And I actually had notes that I had written down. That's the way of what I did. But then, as the time went by, it was fun. The people were really nice. They were inviting. Having Heather there to, when it was time when you would say, okay, pair up, that's intimidating. Looking around going, I don't know a soul here. So that helped. And then I remember reaching out to you when it was winter contest, which I had no idea what winter contest was. And I said, I think I want to be a captain. And in my professional career, I'm a manager, I lead people. And so it seemed natural, but it also seemed like a really great way to meet people. And so I do remember talking to you on the phone, and it was a quick conversation. And you're just like, okay, you're it. Let's
Yeah.
go. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, just to be transparent on that, Heather. So back then, I mean, the Winter Challenge was a bigger deal than it is now. It's fair to say that the Winter
Yeah.
Challenge was like pretty consuming and intense, and captains needed to possess certain characteristics. One of them is that they needed to be competitive. Right? I learned over time that a non-competitive captain would not fit with a lot of the people that were doing the team winter challenge. So I needed somebody that had at least a little bit of competitive juice in them. And I think when I put out the call, like I'm looking for captains, the things that I said are you need to have strong leadership skills. You need to be organized. You you need to have good communication skills. I mean, kind of like any job, it's a job. And you were like, I think you heard those things and you're like, I have those things. I can do this, Kelly. And I think the part that I might have not known or questioned was like, does she have the confidence to do this? Does she know what she's getting into? But by you stepping up and saying, I want to do it, that was your qualification. I mean, that's why our conversation was quick. I remember just talking. I said, when you said you wanted to do it, I said, let's hop on a call. And I said, why do you want to do it? And your why was very strong, Heather. Your why was, I want to connect with people and I want to help other people with their health goals. I think it will help me. I hear that from a lot of my captains. Like if I'm accountable to other people, I'll do more. I can relate to that. That's okay with me. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's a great captain. So, and just to fast forward or to rewind, you were a phenomenal captain, Heather. You crushed it. And it was a lesson for me in that like new people rock. I even tell people that this contest period / the last 10 years, get a rookie on your team. Rookies are the best. Rookies bring new energy. Rookies, they're incredible. Like you don't want someone that's just done the contest. So you had that fresh energy and fresh perspective. And that team was so much fun.
So
Let's talk a
fun.
little bit about
It was.
Watch Me. So our team name was Watch Me. And
Yes.
go ahead, Heather. I'm going to let you tell the story.
Yeah, that team, Sue Foley was on that team. I think Mitzi, if I remember correctly, was on that team. And the Woolens, I think Debbie was on. I can't remember. But anyway, what I do remember is there were people on the team that had been captains before. And I remember our very first team meeting when I got everybody together. And it was like all the captains are like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I'm going, oh my gosh. Okay, okay. So that was great to have that support system. And Sarah Carver, she was on there too, I remember. It was great. Everybody just so kind, so helpful. It was so much fun. And probably the most memorable moment for me with that team is I was able to work in a little bit of my dance stuff, choreography stuff. And it was great. It was so invigorating. I don't know how to explain it, but there was a huge snowstorm. Everybody was like hunkered down in their houses. They couldn't get out. And it was our weekend to host a workout, host an event. And we were out in the parking lot over by Harris Teeter, actually, where they plowed the snow. And I just remember standing leading that whole group in the warm up exercise that was kind of choreographed. And I was just like, "Oh my god, they're following me. They're doing what I'm doing. Whatever I tell them to do, they're gonna do." And that was pretty cool. And I think the other piece too is that everybody was so tired of being like locked up in their homes.
Hmm.
The crowd was huge.
Yes, there
Oh,
was like 100 people there.
it was a lot of people. So, but it felt good to have my team. My team was right behind me. They were willing to do whatever silly stuff that I was doing. And I remember my husband, he was sitting over on the side and videoing some of it. I asked him to take pictures and stuff. But yeah, that moment
Yeah.
I'll cherish. I'll absolutely cherish. And we didn't win that year, but as far as like first place, I think we won for team
Some people will
for
count that as a win because that's really the only one you can really control.
yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of effort.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. And just the connections, with people was so great. So that I, continued to do captaining for, I think, another
Oh my
6 more
gosh.
times or something.
That's service. That, my friends, is service. Being a Winter Challenge captain is service. You're earning a spot in heaven as far as I'm
Oh, yeah.
concerned.
I know. And one thing that we didn't have that I wish we had back then was Chat GPT for our
Oh yeah, they're
reports.
using it now. Trust me. I
Yeah.
don't care. I'm like, I don't want them to spend the whole. That was the part that bothered me. Is like, I don't want you. I want you working out. I want you food prepping. I don't want you writing reports and clipping videos. And so that is it's actually a blessing. It's a huge solution. It's wonderful. What would you say your biggest lesson was from any winter challenge, Heather? What have you learned by participating in the winter challenge?
What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
That's a great lesson. What you put into it is what you get out of it. 100% yes. I love that answer. And it really resonates with everything that we do, I think, but especially the challenge. And it can feel overwhelming, but the results that you get, not even like during the challenge, but then after, the residual is incredible. It's worth it. The effort is worth it. The effort is worth it. And I love it for our community. I was just talking about this in class the other day. I think like whether you're doing the challenge or not, we're all kind of in a different mode right now, right? We're like in challenge mode. We're in competition mode. My classes are different. I am on a mission when I walk into that studio. I'm like, every single person in this studio, as far as I'm concerned, is looking for change. They're looking for body comp change. They're looking to increase their fitness. They're looking for good energy. They're looking for, I gotta deliver. These people want something. They're here for a reason. Get what they came for. Give it to them, Kelly. So it's awesome. I mean, as long as I'm doing boot camp, I think I'll do the winter challenge. Hey, if we pulled it off in 2020, I mean, with our virtual party and our whole thing, I don't think it's going anywhere. That's how important it was to us. We weren't even giving up the winter challenge in 2020. So that tells you something. Let's go back, Heather, to your exercise journey. I mean, you going from not being able to do a push-up to where you are now, which I would consider your fitness level to be elite. You can do how many push-ups? I mean, your birthday push-ups
Yeah,
were
I would say my 49th birthday, I was able to do on my toes.
amazing. I mean, go from
Yeah,
0 to 50.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
guys. Come on.
And it still amazes me just thinking about like how my body has changed over just the past 10 years, where I was and where I am now. I can't remember exactly when you started the whole InBody machine, but
Yep, 2017. So the
okay.
Embody was in my home
Oh, that's
for
right.
December. It
Yeah,
was part of
yeah,
the Christmas decorations.
that's right.
December 2016. I remember
Yeah.
the day it was delivered, and you guys came to my house
Yep,
and got in line and got.
yep, yep. I do
So
remember
you
that.
have a reading from 2016.
Yeah, yeah. And I've gone back and looked and just like it's embarrassing of where my muscle was and where,
Talk
but
about that. Do you
it's
know? Do you have
also,
your? Do you know your numbers specifically?
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
But so this is one of the things that I've been talking about in our community and on this podcast. And this doesn't have to be somebody that works out with us. This has to be someone that's consistent with exercise and nutrition. Not perfect nutrition. Heather's fun. She likes to do fun stuff, and she likes to bake, and she likes to she's not perfect. I don't need her to be. I need her to be consistent. And she is. And 10 years of consistency will take you somewhere really amazing. And Heather is proof of that. So as we age, we lose skeletal muscle mass. That's just life, unless you fight it. And the tools to fight the loss of skeletal muscle mass are exercise and nutrition and consistency, not going hard, not being on this strict routine that you can only do for X amount of time. It's like figuring out what you can keep doing. And I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit, Heather, figuring out what you can keep doing, what that means to you.
Yeah, well, and I just was looking back at the muscle. It's a between 8 to 10 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
mean, I didn't have any muscle.
Right. Well, you said you weren't an exerciser. Yeah, you weren't you played a little basketball, but dance, I mean, I'm not saying dance isn't exercise, but it certainly absolutely is. But back then, I think we can all agree that it wasn't the rigor that these girls do now. I mean, it was different. It was different.
Well, because the dance, it really stopped probably when I was in middle school, 8th grade, 7th grade. And then high school, it was a little bit of sports, but I did the choreography for school plays and stuff like that. So that's how I was involved with school.
It's so interesting that you just said that, Heather. Last week's podcast, I talked with Todd Miller, Dr. Todd Miller, and we had an incredible conversation. If you have not yet listened to that podcast, please do, because it is insightful, informative, educational, enlightening. It's really incredible. And one of the things that he talked about, because I was trying to get some expert advice, because he is an incredible expert in the field, about my students. And I talked about my women and my men. And I talked about how my men have skeletal muscle mass through the roof. Like, it's off the charts. It's so high. Yeah, they've got extra weight, but their skeletal muscle mass is so high. And the majority of my women have low skeletal muscle mass. And I attributed it to potentially a lot of the dieting that we do as women, being in a calorie deficit, trying to lose weight all the time, and not properly fueling our body because we're trying to lose weight, not knowing how to do it. Back then we did a lot of stupid stuff to try to lose weight. And he also brought up the fact, and there's really strong statistics with it, but females stop doing sports usually around middle school, and that is your bone density is built in your adolescence. So that's our problem. Like, that's we're fighting. I'm fighting with 40 and 50-year-old women a problem that happened back when they were 12 or 15. And I'm fighting it, but it was just so interesting. I'm just glad that you brought that up, because I do want people to, and it's in the conversation was very promising in saying there's stuff that you can do. Heather is an example of that. What does it take, Heather, to gain 8 to 10 pounds of muscle in 10 years?
Consistency, I think, going to the workouts. The other piece too is, for me at least, was learning. I'm constantly, just hungry to learn about food, about exercise, about nutrition, all of that. Taken many of Amy's courses. started going to Julie's noon strength class when I can. And really, honestly, I was intimidated to go to that. And if anybody is thinking about it, I really think I mean, just give it a try. It's a different pace. It also, you feel pretty powerful coming out of it because you're able to play with the weights. You're able to, take your time, ask the questions, make sure your form is correct, etc. But yeah, I think that the consistency and just the constant hunger of wanting to learn, being curious, of how things work for you, what doesn't work for you, type of
What would you
thing.
say you've learned? What's your tip? What's the thing that you've learned that you're like, man, I want to tell every friend I have this?
My tip for folks at boot camp, I would say, is introduce yourself to others, making those connections. And then the other piece too, and I challenge myself with this, is going up to somebody, if you see something where that you're admiring or you're curious about, going up to them and talking to them about it and sharing that with them, I would say would be my tip. It just allows you those connections so that when you see that person again, it's nice to have that partner, you know, at the class or even be able to talk to.
For
Yeah.
life, Heather. That doesn't even have to be in a workout community. I really like that
Yeah.
tip. And I think that I believe that the way you were brought up, having to move so much and having to be the one to make the connections, and not every probably girl at that age was going out of their way to talk to the new girl. You had to figure out a way to make friends and make connections because you're a very you're a very people oriented person. So that is beautiful, excellent, amazing advice.
Kelly, I know I was talking earlier about like the PTA and just trying to find my crew, my people. And during, I know have gone back and looked at it, but there is 7 of us that are a little group within KBC. Um, and we have a constant thread through, actually, believe it or not, Facebook Messenger, where we talk about anything and everything. And those women have really helped me through many different times, good and bad in life. And I don't know if they'll kill me if I say this or not, but we named ourselves the Mag 7.
I love that. I don't think they'll kill you. I think they'll love it. And I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on that because this group of women ranges in age from mid 60s to, are you the youngest, Heather?
No, no, Sarah Nelson is
Right.
youngest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's over a 20 some year age gap between these women. And it one of the greatest things in life is to have a friend that's a little bit ahead of you and one that's a little bit behind you, because it really gives you some perspective. I've had some amazing women in my life that are, about 10 years ahead of me, and it's helped me tremendously. And it's, as you get to the next stage that you're scared to get to, you think of that person, you're like, oh, well, that's not going to be that bad. And then I mean, I'm so lucky on my team. I get to have like KB and Erica and those girls that are like 10 years younger than me, and that I can be like the big sister to. And then I can be like, you are crushing it. I know you think you suck at everything right now, but you are a rock star. And because that's what you need to hear during that stage of life, because it's so hard and nobody there to cheer for you. So it's nice to have that too. It really is. So in that group, you guys met through Winter Challenge, right? It wasn't like you were like,
You got through Winter Challenge. Yeah, it's Allie, Sarah, Kathy, Nisha, Andrea Hidalgo, and then Carol.
yeah, you guys have been through 2 weddings,
That's right.
grandkids,
Yeah, grandkids.
divorces.
Yeah, yeah, all
You've been
kinds.
through it
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
And it's really nice to have a core group
it
of
is.
friends and
It is.
layoffs and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
all the
Well,
things, all the
COVID,
things.
COVID too. Yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kids going to college, kids not going to college, kids struggling, kids. It's really nice to have a group of people that can be there for each other. And that's the thing that I'm going to get emotional, but that's the thing I'm most proud of is, when like I see you guys all on a remote island for Nisha's wedding, which I wanted to be at too, by the way. I was on a lacrosse field at my last lacrosse tournament. I'll never forget that because it didn't go well. And I was like, I should have gone to Nisha's wedding. But that's another story for another day. Yeah, I see you guys together and I see the celebrations and the friendships and the camaraderie. And I'm like, that's from KBC. And as much as I'm happy about your 10-pound muscle gain and the fact that you went from 0 to 50 push-ups and the fact that you're in the best health of your life, and your health is better than it's ever been, and that you probably go to the doctor and they want to know everything that you're doing because you're in amazing shape and that your body fat is in the excellent category. As much as I'm happy about those things, Heather, I'm equally as happy about the friendships that you've made and the connections that you have. And that the fact that you go to your workouts excited to see people and meet new people and welcome new people into the community and not just stick to your 7, whatever. It's like, let me do this for somebody else. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Having that support system is so important. Feeling like there are people that care about you or that are there to help you during, different times. Moving around, I would say the very first time I ever really had a best friend, that was really important to me for whatever reason growing up. And the first time I felt like I truly had a best friend was when I was a sophomore in high school. And that was such a great feeling. It was a great feeling because I had a group of, friends that surrounded me. And so once I became an adult and then I was doing this whole adulting thing and marriage thing, looking for that community piece of it. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that Heather Kelly introduced me to KBC and just the connections and stuff that I've made now. My husband and I have talked about, okay, well, where do we want to retire? I'm like, well, I don't want to leave the community. I'm not ready to talk about that anyway. I got stuff to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's beautiful. And Heather, just to give Heather a little shout out, Heather is a chemo nurse, or she was when she was part of our community. She was a single mom and she had has 2 beautiful children that she used to bring to the parking lot on dark, cold winter nights. And do not for 1 second think she's a bad mother, because she's the best mother out there. Those kids would do that workout with me from start to finish. I want to say they were like 10 years old, 8 years. They would, I would marvel at the fact that they would have their own mat, have their own weights, and do that workout from start to finish. Heather showed up as an angel for our dear KK when KK was going through chemo. She was her chemo nurse. She was just this beautiful, unfortunately, she's moved out of the area close enough where she could come back if she hears this just to visit us. But she'll listen to this podcast for sure. She's still a part of the community. She still sends sweet notes every once in a while. And just we reminisce about the old days, and her children are thriving and she's thriving, and they're outdoor people, they're active people, and that's what she's taught them. And she's another great example. So just a little shout out to both Heathers. Really, really awesome. Heather, what about nutrition or fitness advice? What have you learned over the past 10 years that you feel like would be the most helpful to share with our audience today?
For nutrition, it's the real food. It's the real food. It's easy to find. You don't have to read labels. You don't have to interpret. It's real food. The other nutrition piece, though, that I've learned, from Amy is reading the labels, but reading the ingredients before you read how much protein does it have or how much carbs.
Not what they want to tell you. Not the big thing on the front that means nothing, gluten-free. Well, it's gummy bears. Great, no gluten.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think for nutrition, those are the things that I really take to heart. And then the other piece is not being afraid to use tools like MyFitnessPal. I know I listened to the podcast with Bob and just amazed that he logs every single day. And I'm not necessarily saying you have to log every single day, but even logging for a week or two, you learn so much about, okay, what am I doing right? and where are the things I need to maybe, elevate a little bit.
Yeah. So using my fitness pool tool kind of like as a, like, I'm not quite sure if I'm getting the protein or I'm getting the fiber, or maybe I'm having too much sugar, or maybe I'm having too much food. Let me go log for a few days or for a week and see what's going on, and not having to continuously do that. I love that. And I think that is, it is eye opening.
I'm doing the menopause makeover with
Oh,
Amy right
excellent.
now, and yeah, yeah, and I felt like I was getting enough protein, but I wasn't sure. And so I've been logging for the past 3 weeks now. And I've been amazed that I'm actually getting enough protein.
Well, you've been at it for 10
I'm hitting
years.
it.
You figure it takes a while. You don't go from like 40 to 130, right? It takes a while, but once you get it, you get it. You figure it out.
And there's food that you start to learn too that, oh, it's got protein in it too, like cucumbers have, a gram of protein in them, which, I wouldn't know that or
Yeah.
even think that unless I actually played, with
I'm a
my
little surprised by that. I think you're going to have to eat a lot of cucumbers to get a gram.
one mini cucumber is
Oh,
1 gram of protein.
wow. Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah.
had to Google it too because I didn't.
Yeah, I know like 2 cups of broccoli, I think is 4 grams.
Okay.
But I would, for some reason, I think of broccoli as more meaty and proteiny than cucumbers. Cucumbers are so watery.
I
There's no
know.
calories in it. It
Yeah.
just
I
surprises
didn't
me a
believe
little
it
bit.
either. I put it into my fitness pal and then I
Yeah.
had to go Google it and
Well, while we're at it, let's talk about
yeah.
one thing. With my fitness pal, I love my fitness pal, and shout out to Niskayuna High School because the founders of my fitness pal were in my high school. They went to Niskayuna. They lived across the street from my grandparents, and my uncle Steve Sparagan, was one of their first employees. So I've known of my fitness pal for decades, and they sold it to Under Armour, and it continues to be an incredible resource, but people can still put their own foods in. So if it does not have a green check, it is not verified. So you do have to be careful. And one of the things that I noticed, and I haven't been spending a lot of time in it, and they might have improved this, so please correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm just saying what I've noticed in the past. Somebody can put in a food and just put the calories because that's all they care about. So you won't show up as your protein. It won't show up as your fiber. It won't show up as your fat or your carbohydrate. And sometimes that can really work against you, like sodium. So say you're watching your sodium. It might not have that in it. So if it doesn't have the green check, it's not verified. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the cucumber, I believe you. I'm not saying, but it is helpful to know, because if you're going through all that effort of tracking it, you want it right? You want to get it right. So it is important. And there's always discrepancies. Like Dalton and I were just talking the other day. He likes that ground beef, and I buy the ground beef, the grass-fed ground beef, the packet, and he makes it a lot often. That's his kind of go-to, and he probably eats half the pack. And he's like, "Did you know this has 1,240 calories in a package?" I'm like, "That sounds about right. Yeah, about 300 calories a serving. It's higher in fat, which makes it more caloric, and maybe you don't need to eat half the pack, but maybe you can. You're a big boy. It's 600 calories is not game over when it's pure protein. So it is enlightening. I do love to use the information on the food. So for example, it's a bag of almonds and it says that there's 4 servings. Right now I have the Skinny Taste almonds. They're so amazing. I'm obsessed with them. But some of them are like the size of my head. And some of them are like tiny. And it's like, so one almond is not the same, right? But it will tell you if, there's 4 servings and there's 160 calories a serving. So if you take that big bag of almonds and put it into 4 piles or weighing it, obviously really the answer, but then you really start to see, oh, okay. Because it will tell you can eat, I feel like I hope people don't think I'm crazy, but I do think when you're talking about tracking, there's some nuances that can really make a difference, especially when you're talking about like a nut or a seed or ground beef or something that's highly caloric, something that's a little more. Cucumbers, eat 1,000 of them, right? Broccoli, go nuts. But some of these other foods, you do have to be aware of, because it can just add up quick. It can add up really quick. So, okay, so you learned that certain foods have protein that you wouldn't think, and that is true. That is very true. What did you learn about your own body, Heather?
I'm capable of more than what I thought I could be. Even just recently, too, grabbing the heavier weights and giving it a try and not being ashamed to put it down if it's too heavy. Just giving it a try to see what you're capable of and building that confidence, I think is for me, that's what I've learned, that I am capable of doing this.
So you're absolutely right. That's amazing advice. Really, really good advice. What would you say to somebody that is struggling maybe mentally? Like they're not in a good spot, and it's easy to say like, oh, eat good and exercise and, this is our happy place and we all love each other and it's fun and it's happy. But if you're feeling full, you're like, oh, like those people, no, that's not for me. What would be their first step, Heather? What would your advice be to them?
I think I was mentally challenged going through my father's passing and then 8, 9 months later, getting a really bad pinched nerve in my neck. I went to a dark place. And I think my advice would be to seek the help that you need. There is nothing wrong with going and talking to a doctor, but also talking just in general, talking to your friends, talking to your spouse or your partner, talking to people that you want to be, you need help being accountable to, or asking for that help, asking to be checked on. I remember when I was going through that hard time, you had the breast cancer workout, and it was killing me to not be able to do anything. And I reached and I had to dig down deep and go, okay, Kelly, can I come take pictures? I'm not a photographer, but I wanted to be there. And I mentally, I know I was still struggling, but being around the people and being a part of it. So I think it is, it's leaning on your people, whoever your people are, is just probably, and not being afraid to ask for that
Yeah,
help.
that's so good. I love that. That's really good. I have to think of this saying, maybe you know it, Heather. It's about like your problems when you hold them in versus speaking them out. And it's a beautiful saying, and I don't want to get it wrong, but there's definitely power to speaking them out, and you don't want to hold them in.
No, it just it definitely takes a toll on you, not just mentally, but also physically too.
So exhausting. Pain takes everything you have to manage. And I know we've had a lot of people in our community in physical and in mental pain, and anything that we can do to help them is so important. Okay, well, I have 2 more questions for you, Heather. We're doing great. This is so fun. I knew it would be. I knew it. So you used the winter challenge and you used moving around, and maybe those are your examples and they're amazing examples. But can you think of a time in your life when you started before you were ready?
Yeah, it's funny because I did think a lot about that, and I figured you might ask that
I
since
don't
the
always remember,
podcast
so
is
you got lucky.
here. Um, so I think one that definitely just kind of came right away to me was becoming a captain, and reaching out to you and saying, okay, I want to do this. And I'll never forget coming to your house, sitting around your dining room table with all the captains. And I love to kind of listen and soak things in and figure out, okay, what is this culture like? Who are these people? Before I even voice like my opinion, I like to listen and kind of,
You're a processor.
I am. And I don't remember who, but somebody said, well, I want the dining room. Well, I want the kitchen. Well, I want the basement. I'm like, what are we talking about? And somebody said, oh, don't worry about that. That'll come later. And I'm like, oh,
Well, you're obviously worried about
what
it.
do I know? I was like, I need to be worried about this. What are they talking about? And it was just, claiming their places for the party type of thing. But I would say that was definitely starting before I was ready. Even showing up to that first work.
Oh yeah, I'm intimidated. I'm like pit in my
Oh
stomach.
God. And
We didn't even have a captain's meeting this year because we don't even have captains. What am I
right,
doing?
right.
Who do I talk to? What do I ask questions to?
I know. Yeah, and I am doing the team challenge this year, and we did get together, and it's different kind of feeling like, okay, well, nobody's the
I'm waiting
captain,
for them
but
to
people
emerge. I have a feeling
naturally
they've already emerged. I
they're
have a
gonna
feeling they've
emerge.
already
Yeah,
emerged.
people are emerging, most
My
definitely.
my theory on that, Heather, was I mean, I really thought of you. And, maybe there's another Heather out there that doesn't feel comfortable enough with me to say, hey, I want to be a captain. So I just thought maybe I imagine it's people that have had those roles in the past. But whatever it is, it's just something different, right? If we do what we always did, we get what we always got. And we're always trying to get better and evolve and experiment. That's kind of another, it's not my word for the year, but I was at a conference in Montana this winter, I guess, November. And this guy, Chase, who actually produces my podcast, who I really love, it said, marketing is experimentation. And I was like, that's so true. And then I was like, everything is experimentation. Nutrition is experimentation. Fitness is experimentation. Friendships is experimentation. Everything is experiment. You don't know if it's going to work or not. You just have to experiment, plug it into a different spot and see if it works different. So I love that. I really love that. And my last question for you, Heather, is what is your favorite saying? In KBC, we have a lot of different mantras and sayings, and people come up with their own, and I have my own, and people like some of them, people don't like some of them. What are you?
One that I have been using a lot, and I have to remind myself that I like that I hear is motion is lotion. I, it's a good reminder, especially if you are injured or you've got a pain or whatever. I think a lot of times my first instinct is, okay, go rest, go sit your feet up, don't do anything. And it's like, no, you move, you're going to
Yeah.
feel better, going to work it out. And I've used it within my family. And it's funny because now my kids are quoting it back to me. My husband's quoting it back
Watch
to
it.
me as well. And he's got back issues. And he's now saying motion is lotion. And so he's moving. Whereas in the past, he's like, nope, I can't work out. I can't do anything. So I like that one a lot. It's just a good reminder for
Yeah,
many
it is.
reasons.
It's and
Yeah.
those are the ones. Those are always my favorite. The ones that inspire action. It's like, okay, motion is lotion. If I start moving, I'm going to feel better. I don't feel great now, but you're preparing your body to feel better. You're saying if you start moving, you're going to feel better. What if you said if you start moving, you're going to feel worse? I bet my life on the fact that you will feel worse, right? I think that our thoughts are so powerful, and that's just a beautiful example.
It is, yeah, yeah. I really like that one, and it resonates with me from when at the pinched nerve, and I'm doing physical therapy, and I usually grab 20-pound dumbbells at the workouts. And when I went to physical therapy, she's like, "Okay, go grab the ones." And I looked at her. I said, "Really?" I said, "How about I grab the five?" She's like, "No, no, no. You need to grab the ones." The ones were hard. The ones were
Right,
hard
right.
on my left
You're
arm. But then before I knew it, I was back to 20 and higher. So I think about that situation. I remind myself of, okay, Heather, there are setbacks, but they're temporary. And you don't let them become permanent because motion is lotions.
right.
Yeah.
And do what you can. So 10 years of being consistent with fitness, almost 10 pounds of muscle gained, fitness or physical achievements that you're proud of. What does it take to get that, Heather? Like how many times a week do you work out?
Mm. So I typically work out, I would say 5 out of the 7 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
When you first started, how many times a week did you work out?
oh, maybe once.
Once.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you moved up probably to 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that it feels good,
Right.
do you always do high intensity interval training or strength training every workout?
Um, at every workout, No, I do a mix. I do the strength and conditioning. I do just strength. Then I do just cardio. So, yeah, and I recently just reminding myself that it's okay to have the rest days too, because when I was maybe 10 years younger or whatever, it's like I got to work out every single day. And it's like, no, you don't have to work out
You
every
got to
single
move.
day.
I was
You got
just
to
going to say that. You
move.
just got to move. Yep.
You got to move. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
Well, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful for you coming on this podcast today. Oh, it will air like right around your birthday.
Oh boy.
Probably. Yeah, right. Well, a little bit after Heather shares, you share a birthday with Dalton, right? January 31st. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that's when
Yeah.
you were saying you're a processor. I have processors in my house. I don't know that that's part of, I don't know that that's like part of your sign, but it tends to be people that like to think things through and not just spur into action like somebody like me. So anything else you want to say, Heather? Any parting words for our Start Before You're Ready
Um,
community?
no, just thanks for inviting me, Kelly. For those that are listening, I'm grateful for those that I know and have met and for your friendships. And for those that I don't know, I'd love to get to know. But if you are newer to the community, you know, introduce yourself, and don't be afraid to.
I love that advice. Thank you so much, Heather.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.